When you look at the world around you, did you ask the question, why do so many of the world's most powerful corporate logos use circles? Why are the most imposing government buildings, from courthouses to federal banks, almost always fronted by massive columns? It's easy to dismiss it as just style, a coincidence, an accident of history. But it's not. It's a language. A visual language spoken fluently by the architects of our world, from city planners to brand strategists. And for centuries, most of us have been functionally illiterate, seeing the letters, but never reading the words. Today, that changes. We're about to give you the decoder ring. Now, when you hear the phrase secret language, your mind might jump to shadowy conspiracies and hidden agendas, and while those threads certainly exist, focusing only on them is missing the point entirely. It's like listening to a beautiful, complex symphony and only trying to guess if the composer had a secret. The real magic isn't in the secret, it's in the music itself. Here's a better way to think about it. Anyone can hear a song. You can tap your foot to it. You can feel its emotion. You can be moved by it. But someone who understands music theory hears something else entirely. They hear the architecture. They hear the chord progressions, the rising tension of a diminished seventh, the perfect, soul-satisfying resolution of a cadence. They don't just hear the music, they understand how it is making them feel what they feel. This is what symbolic literacy is. It is the music theory of reality. It's the skill of looking past the surface-level noise and seeing the underlying structure of the world. It's the ability to perceive the intention woven into the fabric of our culture. And this is our core promise to you. Learning to read this hidden language of symbols is the key to transforming from a state of confused powerlessness into one of empowered clarity. It is the single most powerful shift in perception you can make. It's the difference between being a passive listener to the song of reality and finally, understanding the composition. If this symbolic language is real, how do we know we aren't just seeing faces in the clouds, the cognitive trick of Apophenia? The answer isn't in abstract theory, it's in the grammar of power etched into history itself. Consider the all-seeing eye floating untethered above an unfinished pyramid on the back of the American dollar bill. To most, it's a strange, vaguely conspiratorial icon. It feels mysterious, even sinister. This confusion is the wall we all hit, a wall built from fragmented information and pop culture dilution. Let's walk right through it. Our journey begins not with secret societies, but in the sun-scorched intellectual melting pot of Hellenistic Egypt around the 1st to 4th century CE. This was the era of Alexandria, a city electric with Greek philosophy, Egyptian mystery traditions, and emerging Gnostic sects. Here, a powerful set of teachings known as Hermeticism took root. These writings, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, spoke of a single divine mind, a one thing from which all reality emanates. The eye was its symbol, the unwinking universal consciousness observing its own creation. It signified not control, but divine intelligence. The idea traveled through the philosophical underground for centuries, influencing Gnostic thinkers who sought direct knowledge, gnosis, of the divine. It resurfaced during the Renaissance as Europe's great minds rediscovered these ancient texts. The symbol of the eye, representing divine insight and architected reality, became an emblem of profound wisdom. Now, jump to the late 18th century. America is a new nation, founded on Enlightenment ideals. Many of its architects were Freemasons, men dedicated to these same principles. Figures like Benjamin Latrobe, architect of the U.S. Capitol, and James Hoban, designer of the White House, were steeped in a tradition that used geometry and symbols as tools for philosophical instruction. For them, symbolism wasn't decoration, it was a blueprint for thought. When choosing symbols for the new republic, they reached into this rich historical stream. They chose the eagle, the olive branch, and yes, the all-seeing eye. Placing it on the Great Seal in 1782 wasn't a signal of conspiracy, it was a profound philosophical statement. They embedded the Hermetic ideal of a nation guided by divine providence, a nation striving to complete a great work, like the unfinished pyramid below it. This is the journey of a single symbol, from a spiritual concept in ancient Alexandria through Renaissance minds to the hands of America's founders. It is not a random doodle. It has a genealogy. It has a grammar. This is the Epiphany. Symbolism is not a subjective feeling. It is a real, traceable, and intentional language. And once you learn the history of one symbol, you realize you can read the history of them all. Even with proof that this language is real, the task of learning it can feel monumental. It's like standing before a library of books written in a script you've never seen. The sheer volume is intimidating. You might think, this is too complex for me. I'm not a historian or a cryptographer. I don't have some special sight. This is a natural feeling, but it's based on a false premise. You don't need special sight. You just need to learn how to focus. Think of it like this. Reality is constantly broadcasting on multiple frequencies at once. Most people are tuned only to the physical channel, the channel of objects, deadlines, and daily noise. But the symbolic channel is always broadcasting right alongside it. It's not faint or weak, it's just on a different frequency. Learning to see symbols is not about inventing a new signal. It's simply the act of learning how to tune your radio to a channel that has been transmitting all along. So how do you tune the dial? You use a simple 4-step method. We call it the Symbolic Resonance Method. It's a framework that takes the vague feeling of intuition and turns it into a structured, repeatable process of discovery. Let's test it on something simple, like the logo for the retail giant Target. Step 1. Isolate the symbol. First, ignore the brand, the store, everything you know. Just look at the pure form. What do you see? A red circle with a smaller red circle cut out of the middle. And another version, a solid red circle with a white dot inside. It is fundamentally a circle within a circle, a point within a circle. That's it. Step 2. Trace its historical lineage. Now ask yourself, where have I seen this form before in history? The point within a circle is one of the oldest and most universal symbols known to humanity. It was the ancient astronomical and astrological symbol for the sun. It was the symbol used by ancient alchemists to represent gold, the most perfected and incorruptible metal. In Egyptian hieroglyphs, it was the symbol for Ra, the sun god. This isn't a stretch, it's a direct historical lineage. Step 3. Analyze its geometric form. What does the geometry itself tell us? A circle has no beginning and no end. It represents totality, wholeness, unity, and eternity. A central point represents the origin, the seed, the source of creation or power. So the geometric form speaks of a total, unified system with a single central source. Step 4. Synthesize its contextual meaning. Finally, we combine these layers to understand what the symbol means now in this context. The logo isn't just a bullseye. It's a modern echo of the ancient symbol for the sun, for gold, for divine totality. It subtly communicates concepts of centrality, the one place for everything, value, gold, and universal reach. A simple bullseye doesn't carry that weight, but a powerful, ancient symbol, repurposed for commerce, carries all of its historical resonance with it, whether we consciously recognize it or not. This 4-step process, isolate, trace, analyze, synthesize, is your tuner. It's how you cut through the static. It's not magic, it's a method, and it's a method anyone can learn. You don't need to be a genius, you just need to be curious. We arrive now at the razor's edge. This is the part of the journey where the path narrows and the risk of a misstep becomes real. It is also the part where true mastery is forged. The human mind is a symphony of pattern recognition. It is our greatest gift, allowing us to see constellations in the chaos of the stars, to find language in sound, and to build civilizations from the raw material of nature. But this same gift carries within it a seed of intellectual vertigo. In its profound hunger for meaning, the mind can sometimes create it where none exists. This is the siren song of Apophenia, the tendency to perceive meaningful connections in meaningless noise. It is the doorway through which sincere inquiry can curdle into paranoia, and the search for truth can become a prison of self-deception. To walk this path, then, requires more than just an open mind. It requires a disciplined one. It demands a kind of intellectual courage, the courage to question our own most cherished insights, to hold our beliefs up to the light and see if they are gold or gilded lead. How do we cultivate this discipline? How do we honor our intuition without becoming its fool? We can find guidance from an unexpected corner, not from an ancient mystic, but from a man who spent his life gazing into the deepest patterns of the cosmos, the astronomer Carl Sagan. He was a profound romantic about the universe, a man in awe of its mysteries. But his romance was built on a foundation of unyielding intellectual integrity. He understood that to truly appreciate the magnificence, one must have a framework for dismissing the fraudulent. He offered a set of principles for critical thought, a Baloney detection kit that serves as the seeker's essential compass. This isn't about cynicism, it's about respect. It is the ultimate respect for the very idea of truth. Consider the kind of thinking that leads one to believe that the names of beverage CEOs are anagrams for demonic entities. The mind sees a flicker of coincidence and, lacking a strong intellectual anchor, is swept away by a tide of ever-expanding significance. Such a theory is a house of cards. It cannot withstand the simple question, is there a more plausible, simpler explanation? It has no foundation in verifiable, independent confirmation. It is a phantom of the mind. Now contrast that with the argument we explored earlier, the lineage of the all-seeing eye. That was not a phantom. It was a thread we could pull, and the more we pulled, the more of the historical tapestry was revealed. That argument rests on a chain of evidence. Every link, from Hermetic philosophy to Renaissance art to Masonic influence on the founders, can be interrogated. It welcomes scrutiny. We can posit alternative hypotheses, that it was just a cool design, for instance. But that hypothesis appears weak and incomplete when set against the weight of documented history and philosophical context. This is the profound difference. A weak theory is a closed loop, feeding on itself. A strong theory opens outward, connecting to verifiable history, to multiple disciplines, to a shared and testable reality. Embracing this spirit of rigorous inquiry does not diminish the magic of seeing the world's hidden language. It enhances it. It gives you the confidence to know that when you do find a genuine pattern, a true resonance, it is real, it is grounded. You have earned that insight through both intuition and intellectual honesty. It is the discipline that keeps the channel clear, allowing you to hunt for the symphony of signal without being deafened by the static of your own mind. This is not a limitation on your search. It is what makes the search meaningful. We began with a premise that the world speaks in a language we have been taught to ignore. We saw this was not fantasy, but historical fact, etched into the stones of our most powerful institutions. Its grammar is traceable, its vocabulary is ancient. We dismantled the idea that this knowledge is reserved for a select few. You now possess the music theory of reality, the Symbolic Resonance Method, a four-step process: isolate, trace, analyze, synthesize, that acts as the tuner for your perception. And most importantly, we embraced the seeker's highest ideal, the marriage of profound curiosity with profound intellectual discipline. For the courage to question our own perceptions is what gives our insights their power and their truth. You now stand at a new beginning. The promise was transformation, from confused powerlessness to empowered clarity. That power is not something we give you. It is something you now have the tools to claim for yourself. The world has not changed, but your eyes have. You are no longer just a passive listener to the song of reality. You are beginning to read the score. The real work starts now.